The voters elected him, and tax money pays his salary. But it turns out this public official works only a few days a week and uses a county-owned car for personal errands. The Channel 4i team has determined those really are the work habits of one of the highest-paid elected officials in Nashville. Here's our chief investigative reporter, Jeremy Finley.
Well, Demetria, Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk David Torrence had no hesitation sitting down to talk to us about his work habits, even after we told him that we had video of him showing him not at the office when you pay him to be there. You see, David Torrence sees nothing wrong with what you're about to see. You're about to get a glimpse into the sweet life of David Torrence. He's the Davidson County Criminal Court Clerk. You pay Torrence $125,000 a year. It's Wednesday, April 6th. While his employees at the clerk's office were busy working, the Channel 4i team found him at home, picking up sticks, spraying his yard for bugs. At around 2 o'clock, he walks out in shorts and a ball cap and gets the mail. This isn't a personal day, it's not a holiday, it's not a sick day. It's just a typical Wednesday in the working world of David Torrence. How about Fridays? Well, besides that $125,000 salary, you also pay for his Metro car and gas. On Friday, April 8th, he never went to the office. He spent part of the day using that county car to run errands. From his home, he drove to the bank, then to the liquor store. He got back in the car and headed home. He didn't take his personal Corvette, by the way, just the car you pay for.
Every taxpayer in Davidson County should be offended by this. Every Metro employee should be offended by this work pattern.
So what is that work pattern? The Channel 4i team spent months finding out just how often the clerk works. He doesn't keep timesheets, but security swipes at the only city garage where he parks show that last year, Torrence wasn't there on 95 regular work days, not including weekends, not including 5 weeks of vacation. Remember, he's the criminal court clerk. His only duties lie in the office, keeping court records in order. The garage card swipes show he wasn't in the office for roughly half of 2010. You only worked about 50% of the time last year. Only 50% of the time you were in this office. How do you explain that?
Well, it is what it is.
You see, Torrence admits he takes Wednesdays and Fridays off every single week.
I'm working Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
But I don't think that's acceptable to a lot of taxpayers. I don't think they're going to sit there and say, Mr. Torrence, it's okay for you to take off half of the year when we pay you this salary, and this is this important of a job.
Well, Jeremy, if it's, you're telling me that's what the garage shows?
The number of times you swiped when you came to work.
Well, all right.
Torrence says sometimes he follows the car in front of him into the garage and doesn't have to swipe, so there's no record of him coming to work. You're going behind someone every time.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, it happens sometimes.
But overall, Torrence did not deny what we found. He justifies his schedule by noting the clerk's office is efficient, innovative, and well run. Well, I have to ask, if the job gets done, why pay someone like you that big of a salary to work 3 days a week?
That's what the job pays.
And if you think working just 3 days a week is incredible, you haven't heard anything yet. Some work weeks he didn't work just 3 days, he worked 2 days during full work weeks. In fact, we found 18 work weeks where Torrence only worked 2 days. And if that's not enough, we totaled it up. Torrence took 52 3-day weekends over 2 years, not counting vacations. You know how many Metro employees would kill to have 2 3-day weekends? In that time period, you had 52. That seems like a lot. Does it seem like a lot to you? You're shaking your head as indicating no.
You know, like I said, it is what it is.
And it turns out Torrence isn't just running errands and working in the yard during the work week.
Occasionally we'll play golf.
On the days that the taxpayers pay you to be here to be doing this job, you openly admit you're golfing, you're working in the yard. You don't have a problem with that.
Like I said, I'm in the office Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and that's the days I'm here.
And as for using that county car for running errands,
I go to the bank and I go and pick my wife and I up a couple bottles of wine and come home.
But do you think that's what that car is supposed to be used
Oh,
for?
it's, yeah, well, you know, I don't think that there's anything wrong at all to do that.
but it turns out there is something wrong. According to Metro guidelines, the city says you can't transport alcoholic beverages of any kind in a Metro vehicle. But here's what he says he can and will keep doing.
Do you plan on working more? Do you plan on being in the office more after this?
There's nothing that I regret, and I'm going to keep the same schedule Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays just like I have.
Do you think you would have been reelected if people had known then what we've just brought to you, that you'd only been in the office half of that entire year?
I've now been elected to my 5th term, so I must be doing something right.
Torrence points out that he is on call all of the time, and I asked him how often he'd been called into work since he's been the clerk, and he said never.